God, we are in the spiritual world if our consciousness is spiritual. So, by singing this song with devotion, we'll try and muster up whatever devotion we have, then we can go to the spiritual world. So let's give it a try. And the way kirtan works is that one person leads the chanting, which in this case will be myself, and everyone else will start. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Vrindāvana Caitanya Vallabha Caitanya
Prabhupada Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur Ki. Jai Guru.
Thank you everyone for coming this afternoon. I would just request all of you, please, to move forward at least 100%. Maybe 200%. If you all come forward, ladies, I promise you I have bathed today. I don't smell too bad, hopefully. No, we want, as more people come in the afternoon, which there undoubtedly will be more people that come, we want to make it easy for them to be able to come in and sit behind you. So, thank you everyone for coming. So, today we are celebrating the Disappearance Day of Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur. Put your hands up. Who knows who Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur is? If you don't worry. That's what we're going to speak about, you know. Out! If you don't know who he is, everyone out! No, today we're going to explain, well, who is Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur? Why is he important? What are his teachings? And why are we celebrating his Disappearance Day? So, to start with, what is a Disappearance Day? Well, in Krishna consciousness, we generally celebrate, we have many festivals, like we said at the beginning. Every day is a special day in Krishna consciousness, because every day is a chance for us to hear and chant the glories of Lord Krishna. And the best way to do that is to chant his holy names. Everyone all together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, this is the best way to glorify Lord Krishna in this age, and simply by taking shelter or chanting the names of Lord Krishna. Krishna and his name are one and the same. So that means if you chant Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, put your hands up. Who likes Coca-Cola? Anyone like Coca-Cola? Just me? Okay. Decaffeinated version, of course. So if you chant Coca-Cola, 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 if you did that for 2 hours, what do you think would happen? Nothing? I think something would happen. You get a very dry mouth, yeah. Would you feel that your thirst had been quenched? No. No. You'd feel like, someone get me a Coca-Cola, right? Or better, a drink of water. Here we go, let's see if we can do this without spilling it. So Krishna says, Rasa Ram Apsukuntiya. Krishna said, I am the taste of water. Water's much better than Coca-Cola. But for the sake of the analogy, the point is that the object of Coca-Cola and the name of Coca-Cola are different. If you chant Coca-Cola, it doesn't satisfy your thirst. But Krishna's name and Krishna are non-different. They are absolute. So when we chant the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It is described that Krishna is dancing upon your tongue. And if you're not feeling Krishna dancing on your tongue, that means you need to chant a bit louder. We'll try that again later on. So, every day is a chance to glorify Krishna. So every day is a special day, but some days are more special than others. So in Krishna consciousness, we celebrate generally 2 types of occasions. One is a disappearance day. Sorry, one is an appearance day, and 2 is a disappearance day. So what does that mean? Does that mean like some magic? Someone just appears and then they disappear with a magic wand? No, the appearance day, sometimes known as a Vyasa Puja, for a great personality, a saintly person, we say the Vyasa Puja, or the appearance day. But even for ourselves, we don't use this word birthday. We don't say birthday. Like my birthday is on the 21st of February, right? That's when I appeared in this body. I'm just letting you know so everyone can buy me a present for the 21st of February. I like chocolate. Coca-Cola. So, that's my birthday, right? That's when I appeared in this body. This particular body. But I've had many bodies. I've had many bodies in the past, and hopefully I won't have too many in the future. If I perfect my chanting of Hare Krishna. So the soul is never born. The body is born, but the soul is never born. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Najayate Mriyate Vakarachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Vanabhuyal Ajodit Chashashvatam Yam Parano Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. This is Sanskrit. Everyone knows the Bhagavad Gita, right? Put your hands up if you know the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes people learn the verses or the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. This is a good way to engage our minds, to learn shlokas. I'm sure everyone knows this one. Yada yada idamasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam dhamasya tadatmanam shujanyanam. These are famous ones that people know from watching the Mahabharata when they grow up. But this verse, Krishna says, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. You can still get me a present on my birthday. For the soul is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. That's what Krishna says. In modern science, we say that energy is never created nor destroyed, but it is transformed. Do we have any scientists in the audience? Anyone here a scientist? Couple? That's okay, I'm not a scientist. The only equation I know is hydrogen plus oxygen equals water. I don't know how it happens, but somehow or another. So, that's what Krishna says. The soul is never born and it never dies. The soul appears. So therefore we celebrate the appearance day, not the birthday, the appearance day. And particularly for great souls like Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur that we're talking about, they are not forced to appear. Like ourselves, or let me say myself, we may have many great souls here in the audience, but myself, I was forced to appear according to my karma. According to our karma, we get a particular type of body, we get a particular type of ear, particular type of nose, particular type of eye, particular type of chin. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm not making this up. So if you look in the mirror and you think, oh, my ears are too big, you've only got yourself to blame. It's your karma. So the conditioned souls, what known as Nitya Bala, that they are forced to appear. We are forced to appear by the laws of material nature, by the laws of karma. But the great souls, they're not forced. They come here of their own free will. Why? Why do the great souls come to the material world? Like there's an expression, what's a nice guy like you doing in a place like this? You know, if someone's in a bad part of town, you know, some kind of dingy club or something, and like some, you know, aristocratic man, what's a nice person like you doing in a place like this, you know? So what are the liberated souls? Why do they come to this material world? Can anyone hazard a guess? They come to help us. Yeah, exactly. Sorry?
To elevate mankind.
To elevate mankind, exactly, yeah. So it is said that a great soul, a Mahatma, they are para dukkha dukhi. And that means that they are unhappy to see the suffering of others. A materialistic person feels happy when he's doing better than others. Oh, I'm doing so good, look at them. I've got a bigger house, I've got a bigger car, my children have all got PhDs, you know. A materialistic person looks at others and, you know, it's about, you know, what's in it for me? You know, how can I be the best? But a spiritual person, they are unhappy to see the suffering of others and they want to elevate others. They want to elevate mankind. They want to help us. So the great souls, they come here for that reason. So that's the appearance day. Now the other thing we celebrate is a disappearance day. Now a disappearance day, again, for the same reason, the person doesn't die. This body may come to an end. My body is 46. I'm hoping, I don't know. If you live till 100 in this day and age, you're doing pretty well, right? I don't know what the average life expectancy is. Hopefully I've got, 75 maybe. Something like that. So maybe I've got another 30 years, give or take. But who knows? I may pass away tomorrow. Who can say? Who can say? Listen, we're not trying to be too morbid. I came to the Hare Krishna temple for a good time and then, the person told me that I might die tomorrow. Not very nice, is it? But actually, this is the reality of life. There's nothing surer in life. The only thing you can be certain of in life is death and taxes. You can always be sure of death and taxes. So the point is that it's not that we meditate, oh, I'm going to die, but it means live life to your fullest, right? If I've got 30 years left, let me achieve my full potential. But not only materially, spiritually, because at some point we're all going to have to leave this body. Now, who here rents a room or rents a house? Put your hands up if you rent a room or a house. Right? Now, if your landlord came up to you and said, right, you have to get out at the end of this month, you'd be pretty annoyed. It's the 12th already, right? You've got to give a bit more notice than that. You've got to give at least a month's notice, I think. But if your landlord said, you've got to get out at the end of this month, what are you going to do? What's the first thing you'll do? Maybe you might shout at him, hey, what are you doing? I thought you had a 5-year contract. No, you shouldn't break his contract. But what would you do if you're told you're going to have to vacate your rented accommodation at the end of the month? What would you do?
Look for another house.
Look for another house. I'm glad we have someone with some common sense. They say common sense is the least common of all the senses. Yeah, you look for another room, right? And then, not only that, well, do I have the money to pay? So, firstly, we look for, another room, and we want to make sure it's in a nice area. Like we say, what's a nice guy like you doing in a place that? We want to make sure it's a nice area. We want to make sure, we've got good neighbours. We want to make sure we've got enough money to pay the rent, right? So we're all going to get kicked out of this body at the end of this lifetime. I'm sorry to, be the bearer of bad news, but that's what's going to happen to all of us at some point. So at least, if we've got some common sense, we should start to think, well, where am I going to go next? And if I am going to go somewhere, can I get a better apartment? Can I get a better body? Can I get a better birth next time? Do I have the money? Do I have the pious credits? Do I have good karma to be able to go for that? Or do I not have enough money? So an intelligent person thinks, yes, at some point, I'm going to have to leave this body. Therefore, I should at least consider what's going to happen next. We don't often think about these things. There's an expression, smarshana vairagya. Does anyone know what that means? Smarshana vairagya. Sorry? Yeah. Okay, forgive my pronunciation, but does anyone know what it means?
You showed detachment at a graveyard.
Yeah, it means like renunciation at a crematorium or So in other words, when we go to a funeral, if someone we know passes away, we're suddenly confronted that, oh my goodness, at some point this might happen to me, this might happen to my loved ones. So while we're there at the crematorium or while we're there at the funeral, we become a little bit sober, we become a little bit introspective, and we think, oh, I really should visit the Hare Krishna temple a bit more often. I should take my spiritual life seriously. But then what happens is when we leave after a week or so, we just forget all about it again, because we're distracted. They talk about the weapons of mass destruction, right? But there's weapons of mass distraction. What's the weapon of mass distraction?
Phone.
Yeah. And everything on it. That's the thing that we're all distracted by, right? Myself included. So we get distracted. So the point is that it's not that we think that... The point is, if you're at university, let's say, and you've got an exam at the end of the year, right? What do? You make sure you go to all... Yeah, go on, what were you going to say? Prepare, yeah. You make sure you go to all your lectures. You make sure you go to your seminars. You make sure you speak to your tutor. You make sure you're reading all the right books. And not only that, you do extra reading. You don't just do the bare minimum. You go up and above and beyond the call of duty. Right? If you aim for an A, maybe you'll get a C. Sorry, if you aim for anyway, if you just aim to pass, you might just get a C. But if you want to aim for an A, you've got to really put in some effort, right? Or a first, or a 2-1, whatever it is. So in the same way, because we know we've got final exams, and you may have coursework along the way. So the point is that it doesn't mean, and when you're at university, it's not that all the time, every day you're going, oh no, I've got my final exam in 3 years. Oh no, I've got my final exam in 3 years. Oh no. No, you don't go around like that. You don't go, oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. No, it just means live your life to the fullest. Achieve your full potential. Go to all your seminars. In other words, read Bhagavad Gita, chant Hare Krishna on beats. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Associate with devotees. Offer your food to Krishna. Go to the temple. Pray to Krishna. And then if you do all these things, when you go into your final exam, you feel confident. I've been to all my seminars. I've handed in my coursework. I'm feeling good. You go into your exam feeling confident, right? So we want to come to the end of life confident. Because if one remembers Krishna at the time of death, one goes back to Krishna. If one doesn't remember Krishna at the time of death, I'm trying to whistle. Oh, Newcastle. Oh. Mumbai. Well, doesn't matter where it is, the point is we're in the material world again if we don't remember Krishna. So this is the point. And we have gone off the point. We were talking about disappearance days. Yeah, so for the soul, there is neither birth nor death. The soul doesn't die. It is simply transformed. Just like when we change our clothes. When our clothes become old and useless, we get a new jacket. No one feels upset when they have to get a new jacket, right? If your jacket's full of holes, you feel like, hey, got my new jacket, feeling good, you know? So at some point this material body will come to an end, but we get a new coat, we get a new outfit, we get a new body. So there's no need to feel, we shouldn't be disturbed by this. Dhiras tatragna muyatiya. Sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So the Disappearance Day is the sacred annual celebration of a pure devotee or a saintly person or a spiritual master leaving their physical body. Now we say the Disappearance Day, but when a great person disappears, they leave behind something. What do they leave behind? Sorry? Legacy? Yeah. Teachings? Yeah. Right, so let's say sometimes people are concerned with generational wealth. They want to become... Nowadays, if you go on YouTube, everyone's talking about financial freedom, People want to be able to, have enough money that they have to stop working. And then beyond that, they want generational wealth. Enough money to provide for their family in the future. Some of us are just struggling to pay the bills or the mortgage, But some people are trying to get... So they leave behind a legacy, maybe some generational wealth. But that's not the real wealth. The real wealth are the teachings. The teachings of the great acharyas, the teachings of the great saintly person, because they are going to enable us to not have to come back again to the material world. If you come to the material world, whatever you do, you're going to have to face birth, disease, old age, and death. You cannot escape from them. Sorry? Taxes as well, that's right, yeah. Now, you may be able to cure some disease, but you cannot cure disease full stop. You cure one disease, another one will come along. Okay, a few years ago, what happened? COVID, yeah, 2020, right? It was no one's ever been through anything like that. It's like a crazy thing, even to think back at it now, it feels like it was a dream. Right, what was that, The whole world got locked down. It's like, they found some cure. Okay, we don't have to worry about COVID now. No one's walking around with a face mask. Well, some people are. Some people are, because they're concerned, about breathing. But my point is, everyone was wearing it at that time. But you can cure some disease, but you cannot cure disease, full stop. You might be able to stop or slow down the aging process, right? You can get oil of Ulay. I think it's called Olay now. It used to be called oil of Ulay. You can get, or some nice cosmetic things, or you can go for cosmetic surgery, or you can just eat healthily, eat a sattvic diet, drink plenty of water, go to the gym. You can look after yourself. You can slow down the aging process. But you can't stop it. Unless you have what? Sorry? Yes. Well, there is a way to become immortal, and that's what we're going to talk about. The soul is immortal, that's the point. You cannot stop this material body. Hanuman doesn't have a material body, he has a spiritual body. So you cannot stop the material body growing old. You cannot stop it getting diseased. You cannot stop it dying. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. You cannot stop it. As soon as you're born, death will come. As soon as you die, birth will come. But there is one way to break this continuous repetition of birth and death, or samsara, and that is to remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, you can remember Krishna at the time of death if you've practiced remembering Krishna throughout your life. Just like the analogy with the exams, your final exams. You've got a good chance of passing your final exams if you practice throughout the 3 years that you're at university. You don't just walk into the final exams and just think, oh, I'll just wing it, I mean, you can, but it's not very likely that you're going to pass. So, yes, they leave behind their teachings. Now, there are 2 ways to associate with devotees. So the most important thing, actually, we're talking about different things, but the most important thing to help us make spiritual advancements is what is known as sadhu sangha. That means to associate with sadhus, to associate with devotees. Sadhu sangha, sarva shastri koi, lava matra sadhu sangi, sarva siddhi hoy. It is said that by one moment's association with a sadhu, with a pure devotee, one can achieve all success, all perfection. But there are two main ways to associate with sadhus. Does anyone know? They begin with a V. Vani and Vab. Yeah. So Vani means the instructions or the teachings of a great devotee or a great saint. And Vapu means the physical association. But of the two, most important is Vani. Because Vapu is temporary, the physical association of someone is temporary, but the Vani is eternal. Let's say, for instance, the Bhagavad Gita. Does anyone know how long did Krishna appear on this earth for 5,000 years ago? 125 years. Krishna was here for 125 years. But who's still reading the Bhagavad Gita? So, can we have the physical association of Krishna? Yes. Technically, Krishna has also appeared in his holy name. He's appeared in many forms, even prasadam. Today we're going to have food that's been offered to Krishna. But in the sense of, the physical association, devotees had his association here. Some devotees had the association of Krishna for 125 years. But then Krishna left. But the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's Vani. It is his instructions. We're still reading it 5,000 years later. And we can still be reading it 5,000 years from now. It won't go away. So therefore, of the two, the Vani is more important than the Vapu. The physical association helps us to become inspired. So some of us here may have a guru, we may have a teacher, and when we're in the association of our teacher, we become inspired. Right? Who's ever felt that in the association of an advanced devotee or a sadhu, we feel inspired to practice spiritual life? Who's ever felt like that before? If you haven't, then you're missing out. Come along. We have a sadhu coming at the end of this month. His Holiness Dayananda Swami. He'll be here for the Nrsimha Chaturthi on May the 2nd. He's a wonderful sadhu. Come along for the Nrsimha Chaturthi. Come and get his association. You will be feeling enlivened in spiritual life. But ultimately, then he's going to go somewhere else. He'll be here for a week, but then he goes. But we can follow his instructions. And simply just to have the physical association doesn't necessarily mean that that's all be all and end all, For instance, once there was a king, and he was sitting on his throne with his crown on, and his, staff, and his cloak. And everyone was saying, "All glories to the king! Long live the king!" And they were a long way away, in the audience. "Long live the king!" And then there was one little mosquito. And he landed on the king. He had physical association with the king. He had very close association with the king. But he started to bite the king, and the king went. He was away. So even if we have the association, are we going to take advantage? Are we going to sting the person? Or are we going to say to the king, "Hey, can you help us out? I've got my lady wife mosquito, we've got children, can you lend us some money?" So even in the association of sadhus, are we going to take advantage of it? That means we hear from them and we serve them. Like this. So, Srila Prabhupada here, Srila Prabhupada, who brought this Krishna consciousness movement to the Western world, his spiritual master is on the altar here. He was called Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, Srila Prabhupada only had the physical association of his spiritual master half a dozen times. Half a dozen times, maybe. He had some of his followers, Some of the students of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they had so much association with him. But Srila Prabhupada dedicated his life to trying to follow the instructions of his spiritual master. And as a result of that, he was successful in spreading this Krishna consciousness all around the world, because he had full faith. So Srila Prabhupada, he said that the most important verse in all of the Vedas, who would like to know the most important verse in all of the Vedas? Anyone? Okay, there's no interest. Okay, we'll move on. You would? Okay, alright, well done. So this is the most important verse in all of the Vedas. Yasya Devi Parabhaktir Yata Deva Tatagaro Tasyaiti Katati Yata Prakashante Mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So for someone who has absolute faith in the words of their spiritual master and the words of Krishna, for that person, all of the knowledge within the Vedas becomes automatically revealed. So Srila Prabhupada said that his success was that he just simply tried to follow the instructions of his spiritual master. So yes, when the great devotees leave, they are still living in sound. There was a nice poem by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. A Vaishnav dies to live, and while living, tries to spread the holy name around. So that means that when the great saints, when the great devotees are here, their life is just dedicated, to spreading the holy name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote this poem to glorify a great devotee called Haridas Thakur. Put your hands up if you've heard of Haridas Thakur. So he is known as the Namacharya. He is the teacher of the holy name, and he used to chant 300,000 names of Krishna every day. Now for you or I, well actually I couldn't do that. It takes me, so that is 192 rounds. So generally to chant 16 rounds, it might take about 2 hours. So if you times that by 24, you get to 192. So Haridas Thakur, he was just chanting throughout the day. No, he would chant a bit quicker than that, so he still had time to eat, but mostly he was just chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it's described that he was perfect in his practice and he was perfect in his teaching. Some of us, we like to practice. Some of us, but we don't teach others. Some of us teach others, but we don't practice. But you have to do both. You have to practice and you have to teach. So therefore, the essence of this Krishna consciousness movement is 1, chant Hare Krishna, and 2, teach others. We do this a lot, but let's try it. 1. 1. 1. 2. 2. 2. 1. 2. 2. 2. 1. You get the idea. We're trying to make sure you remember at least one thing from this talk at the end. 1, chant Hare Krishna. 2, teach other people to do it. And that might mean just inviting someone to come along to the temple, giving someone a book, giving them some prasadam, connecting them to Krishna. Yes, and of the two, the disappearance day and the appearance day, the disappearance day is more important than the appearance day. Because when someone appears, if a great saint or a great devotee appears, when they're a baby, you don't necessarily know who they are. You don't know what they're going to do. But when they disappear, they've lived a whole lifetime dedicated to trying to, 1, chant Hare Krishna, and 2, teach others. So therefore, the disappearance day is more important than the appearance day. So does anyone remember, because we've been speaking a while, who are we celebrating the disappearance day of today? Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur. So who is he? Well, he's one of the acharyas, one of the great teachers in our line. He lived from 1507 to 1589. Do we have any mathematicians in the room? How long was that? 1507 to 1589. He was 82, right? He was born in a place called Mangachi, which is near Navadvip in West Bengal. His mother was Srimati Narayani Devi, and she was the niece, thank you for coming, by the way. And his mother was the niece of Srivas Pandit. So Srivas Pandit, you can see him over here, Srivas Thakur, he is on the far right of the Panchatattva. He is part of the Panchatattva. And does anyone know who Srivas Thakur is in Krishna's pastimes? He's Narad Muni. And this is important for something we're going to come back to a little bit later on. So when Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur was younger, his mother, she received the prasadam remnants of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So prasadam means food that's been offered to Krishna. And if you eat that food stuff that's been offered to Krishna, you become purified. But there's something known as Maha Prasadam. And that means if a great saint has taken that prasadam, and then they've left a little bit left, maybe they've left a little rasgula left, then if you eat that rasgula, that's Maha Prasadam. That means it has extra special potency. So, one time, Srila Prabhupada, he was on a plane going to Brazil. And one of his servants gave him some popcorn to eat, right? So they put the popcorn, and Prabhupada was eating the popcorn. And then the air hostess came along, and she saw the popcorn and said, "Oh, that looks nice." And she just took some of the popcorn and put it in her mouth. And the devotee sitting next to Srila Prabhupada, who was the servant, he was like a bit upset. "That's my spiritual master's food you're eating." She didn't even ask. She just came like, "Oh, that looks nice." How would you feel if you're sitting eating a meal and someone comes, "Oh, that looks nice. What are you doing?" At least, stranger, at least ask. I might have shared it with you. But this air hostess, "Oh." And Prabhupada could see that his servant was a bit disturbed, and he said, "That's okay. Hare Krishna." Let her take prasad. So some years later, devotees were traveling in Brazil, and they knocked on one door. They were going door to door to try and sell Bhagavad Gita, and they knocked on the door. And she said, "Oh, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol Prabhus, please accept my obeisances." And they were thinking, how does this woman know? There was no temple in that town. The devotees hadn't been there. They were thinking, how on earth does she know? And she said, "Yes, come on in." And they invited her in. She had a whole library full of Srila Prabhupada's books. She had deities. And they said, "How did you find out about Krishna consciousness?" And she told the story. And she was that air hostess on the plane. And she took that prasadam, Maha Prasadam. She became purified. And she became to inquire, "Oh, who are these people on the plane, He would look very saintly. He was a very nice man." And she became a devotee. So it's very powerful. So, Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, his mother, took the remnants of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. She became purified, and then she had her son, Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur. Now, he appeared 4 years after Lord Chaitanya had taken sannyas. And when Caitanya Mahaprabhu left the world, he was about 20 years old. Now, Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, he was a disciple of Lord Nityananda. This is Lord Nityananda. In the middle we have Lord Chaitanya. On the left, our left, we have Lord Nityananda. They are Krishna and Balaram in Krishna Leela. So Lord Nityananda is Balaram. So Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, he was the last initiated disciple of Lord Nityananda. And he was the most important disciple of Lord Nityananda. So when Lord Chaitanya and all his associates left the world, there became a bit of a void in the leadership of Krishna consciousness. Other people were coming to kind of, share bogus philosophies. But Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, he opposed all of these other philosophies, and he established the philosophy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But his most important thing was that he wrote a book called the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this was the first comprehensive biography of Lord Chaitanya. It's revered as one of the primary texts of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, which asserts that Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. So Radha and Krishna appeared in one form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he established that the preeminent means for spiritual enlightenment in this age is through Harinam Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And from my weapon of mass distraction, I'm just going to read a little quote from Srila Prabhupada. So this is Srila Prabhupada about Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur. So, there you go, it's a voice from the sky. Oh, where is it? Oh, I can't find it now. Anyway, basically, it's described that, well, yes, here we go, we can read from this. So, basically, Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur in Krishna Leela, does anyone know who he is? He's Vyasadeva, yeah, he's Veda Vyas. So this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parashara Muni. And he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that people in general were less intelligent. So it's described, Srila Prabhupada describes it, it's described in one book. What is the book that describes who everyone is in Caitanya Leela and Krishna Leela? Gaura Ganadesha Dipika, that's right, thank you. So it's described that Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur in Krishna Leela, he was Veda Vyas. In other words, the compiler of all of the Vedas. So, who is Vyasadeva? Well, we will just give a little summary of Vyasadeva. So yes, he's known as Veda Vyas because he translated and he wrote down the Vedas. So Veda means knowledge, and of course there are many different branches of knowledge. You can have Ayurveda, right? That's the medicinal branch of the Veda, or you can have Dhanurveda. That's the militaristic science. But you have, ultimately, like for instance, the Vedanta Sutra. That is the end of all knowledge. This is spiritual knowledge. So, in summary, first there was one Veda. Vyasadeva, he divided it into 4 Vedas. Can anyone tell me one of the 4 Vedas? Samaveda, Rigveda, Yajurveda, and the Atharva Veda. Very good. Gold stars to all of you. And then he wrote the Vedanta Sutra. This means, like Anta means the end, so Vedanta means the end of all knowledge in sutra. It means like in a codified form. So you have the first verse, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, means now I have the human life, now it is time to inquire into the absolute truth. Then you have the second verse, Janmad Yasya Jata, and that says that the Supreme is that from which everything emanates. So this is the Vedanta Sutra. He also wrote the Mahabharata. And what is the most important part of the Mahabharata? Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So for instance, people like to go to the cinema. People like to hear stories, right? So everyone likes to hear. Put your hands up here if you've seen Mahabharata before. Put your hands up if you've seen Mahabharata more than once. Put your hands up if you've seen it 3 times, 4 times. Yeah, loads of times. Everyone loves Mahabharata, right? But right in the middle of Mahabharata, right towards the end, when everyone's like, what's going to happen? They're there on the battlefield. Everyone's on the edge of their seats. What's going to happen now? Everyone's like, okay, this has been happening. Pandavas have been exiled for 14 years. They've been trying to avoid this war. Krishna says, okay, just give the Pandavas at least one village to rule. They're Kshatriyas. Duryodhana said, I will not even give them a bit of land by which you can drive a pin into. So everyone's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And right when everyone's attention is like, that's when Krishna speaks the Bhagavad Gita. When everyone's all ears, So yeah, he gave Mahabharata with the Bhagavad Gita. And then he gave the Puranas, and the most important of the Puranas is the Bhagavat Purana, or the Amala Purana, or the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the natural commentary. Now the point is that the Vedic language, not everyone spoke Sanskrit, it's complicated, high spiritual philosophy is hard for people to grasp. So therefore Vedavyas, he divided the Vedas to make it more accessible to the common person, to ourselves. But even though he'd written written all the Vedas, he was still dissatisfied. And this is a really important point. Vedavyas, he'd written all of the Vedas, but he didn't feel satisfied. I mean, you know, I feel quite happy just if I manage to answer all my emails, you know? I feel happy if I manage to catch up on my WhatsApp, you know, just my correspondence, you know? It's like, yes, I've done it, you know? But he'd written the whole Vedas, but he felt dissatisfied. So he described many things, like the descriptions of the temporary universe, prayers to the demigods, the process for attaining material prosperity, information about Brahman, the soul, the super soul, the process of yoga for the attainment of spiritual realization. He'd even written about the Supreme Lord, but he still felt satisfied. And the reason for that is because he hadn't fully glorified or described the pastimes of Lord Krishna and devotional service to Lord Krishna. So he approached his spiritual master, who is Vyasadev's spiritual master, Narad Muni. So do you see the connection now? Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, he grew up in the house of Srivas Thakur. Who is Srivas Thakur? Narad Muni. So Narad Muni was instructing, you know, Vedavyas in the form of Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur. So Krishna's associates, they take birth again and again and again to facilitate Krishna's pastimes. So Vedavyas, he approached his spiritual master and he said, listen, I've written, he didn't say it like this, I'm being a bit colloquial, but he said, listen, I've written all the Vedas, do you know what I mean? I've done quite a good job here. What's going on? I feel really dissatisfied. He said it a bit more respectfully, and Narad Muni said to him, he said, yes, but you haven't fully described the glories of Lord Krishna and his incarnations and described and glorified devotional service to him. Because the end of all knowledge is to know Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Savasya chaham pridisadivisto matasriti jnanam apohanam cha. Vedaischa savam aham eva vejo vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. So that says that by all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedas. So the aim of all of the Vedas is to know Krishna. But he felt dissatisfaction because he'd in one sense, he'd distracted everyone. We're going to try and bring this now to a conclusion. So, therefore, there's a famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that comes from this section. Savai pumsam paro damo yato bhaktir adoxyji ahoitaki apratiyata yayatna suprasidati. So, this describes how one can feel complete satisfaction. This is the only way the soul can be completely satisfied. The supreme occupation, Dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Now this is really important. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So if we're ever feeling dissatisfied, it's because we're not engaged in devotional service to Krishna. And even if we are, we're not unmotivated and uninterrupted. In other words, sometimes we come to the temple and we do a little service for Krishna. While we're there, we feel happy. Who feels happy when they're at the temple and, you know, we're having kirtan and prasadam? But then sometimes who feels unhappy when they go away from the temple? Yeah. Why? Because we're not engaged in devotional service. Or it's interrupted. So in other words, I go to the temple on Sunday, but for the rest of the week, it's my time, you know? Or maybe I spend a couple of hours each day for Krishna, but the rest of the time, this is my time. But we have to be uninterrupted and unmotivated. That means sometimes we come to the temple and we put a little donation in the box and we say, Krishna, please help me to pass my exams. Please, Krishna, help me to get that job promotion. Please, Krishna, help me to win the national lottery. No, we shouldn't be gambling. But You get the point. We're approaching Krishna. Wonderful. We should approach Krishna. But the highest thing isn't to ask Krishna. The highest thing is, one president of the United States, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Don't ask Krishna, what can he do for us? Ask Krishna, what can I do for you? That is unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. And that will bring complete satisfaction to the self. Don't take my words for it. Take Vedavyas, the literary incarnation of God, who wrote it in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you don't take his word for it, make an experiment. Try it for yourself. Just one day next week, just completely dedicate it to Krishna. And see if you feel satisfied. If you don't, we'll give you your money back. Or we'll give you no money, because you will feel completely satisfied if you do it. We want testimonies next week. Yes, Monday, I just completely dedicated myself to Krishna. I felt fully satisfied. Prabhupada used to say, fully satisfied. Yes. So therefore, this Srimad Bhagavatam, given by Vedavyas, actually itself is an incarnation of Krishna. Let me just read you this. Yes. Okay. The Srimad Bhagavatam, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 40. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. And it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. That means all of us. We're included in all people. Don't say, well, it's not for me, you know. I've just come along to take darshan and a bit of prasadam. No, this is the ultimate good for all people. That's all of us. And it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. I mean, that's quite a sterling review, isn't it? If you go on, you know, if you're looking up a product to buy online and you check the reviews on Amazon, it gets a 5-star review. I mean, listen to that. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. I mean, that's encouraging, is it not? I think, yes, I'll buy that product. But the good news is you don't have to buy it. It's free. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun. And it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So who sometimes feels like they're lost in this life? Who sometimes feels lost? Or they feel like, oh, everything's just so dark and there's just no hope, right? Who feels like that sometimes? Yes. So, Krishna Swadhamapagate, this Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun. When Krishna left, when the sun of Krishna set, the sun of the Srimad Bhagavatam arose. So, persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of the ignorance of this age is like an ocean of inauspicious qualities. But we shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana. And we're going to finish now with this. The essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam is it teaches 3 things, in essence, right? It teaches who are we, who is God, and what is our relationship. So who are we? Well, okay, let's say who is God. First it teaches who is God, Bhagavan. It teaches who is God, Krishna, Bhagavan. It teaches who are we? We are the Bhakta. And it teaches what is our relationship, that is Bhakti. You have Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhakti. And if you know this, you know all knowledge. Srila Prabhupada, one time in the early days of this Krishna consciousness movement, there was one devotee that wanted to get initiated. But he'd only been coming to the temple for some time. So the temple president said to Prabhupada, oh, he can't get initiated. He's not ready. And Prabhupada said, I will be the judge of that. I will be the judge of who is ready to get initiated. So he called this devotee forward and he said to him, who is Krishna? He said, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He said, very good. And he said, and who are you? He said, I am Krishna's eternal servant. And Prabhupada said, very good. You can get initiated. Because he'd understood the essence. Who is God? Who are we? And what is our relationship? We are eternal servants of Krishna. and this is the final point now because we are trying to stick to the schedule. This is the final point. So, the Srimad Bhagavatam is describing the glories of Lord Krishna, his incarnations, and his pastimes in devotional service to him. But we all need an example, right? We all need a hero. You know, it's okay you have precept, but what is it they say? Example is higher than precept. So the precept is that we have to engage in devotional service. But where's the example? So Krishna appeared as Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna is Caitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. He came as a devotee of himself to teach us how to become devotees. You know, they say if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing properly, you know? And if, you know, like they say, if you know, what is it they say? If no one can do a job, let me do it myself. Something along those lines, right? If you can't find anyone to do it yourself. Anyway, so Krishna appeared. He said, this is how to become a devotee. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught the perfect example of how to love and serve Krishna. Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur described the pastimes whose disappearance we're celebrating today. He described the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya taught that the most important way that we can attain our love, our eternal love for God, and our eternal spiritual nature is by Harinam Sankirtan, which is the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And on that note, we are now going to try and put that into practice. Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Jai. Sri Panchatattva ki, Jai. Sri Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur ki, Jai. Nitai Gaura Pramanande. We've gone over time, so we're not going to have any questions. Is that okay? What do you think? Should we just go into Kirtan now? Okay, we'll have two questions. Okay, yeah. All reflections.
I was just wondering if you could mention like a few literature and works.
Yes.
And that's what we're left now for us.
Yes, good point. So, Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur, his primary work is the Caitanya Bhagavat. And that is the first biography of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. But the Caitanya Bhagavat deals mostly with kind of the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, his pastimes in Navadvip. So later on, Krishna Das Kaviraj, he wrote the Caitanya Charitamrita. We have a copy here on the altar. And Krishna Das Kaviraj, he said, I will not describe what Srila Vrindāvana Dāsa Thākur has already described. Those have already been described in the Caitanya Bhagavat, and that is perfect. But I will describe the parts that he has not described, and he gives also the later pastimes. So then for ourselves, the most important books for us to read, the three main books are the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Caitanya Charitamrita. Is that okay? Thank you. Good question. Any other last question before we have Kirtan and we try and apply this process of Harinam Sankirtan and see if we feel fully satisfied? Any other questions? Or maybe just a reflection, something you heard that you found inspiring or that you'll remember. 1. Chant Hare Krishna. 2. Teach others. Okay, we'll try that one more time. 1. Got to say it with more enthusiasm. 1. 2. Okay, good. So if you don't remember anything else, at least remember that. Okay, so if there's no more questions, thank you so much. Thank you, Shravan Krishna Prabhu, for giving me the opportunity to speak today. We will now have Kirtan and Aarti. We will ask you all to stand up. You can put all your cushions to the back. We'll have the ladies on this side, the men on this side. We will have Aarti and Kirtan, and we will chant Hare Krishna and just see if you don't feel fully satisfied. You have to surrender fully.